you guys doing? Welcome back. I've just been really busy lately, and that's why I haven't posted anything lately. But it is the holiday season, and everything is festive, and you know, I always try to find something fun to do for the season. Usually, right before Thanksgiving, I don't really do anything. Maybe I'll go see some tree or something, but I usually wait till after Thanksgiving because that's when really everything starts glowing. And so I've been busy, just it's been really busy at work with students trying to get their work in, end of semester, all of that fun stuff. And also trying to get my book out, and that's been stressful. But we are at the final mile of it, and so I'm excited to get that done. And I started an indoor garden. Uh, you'll probably see a little bit of it when this thing gets aired because I'm going to crop it a little bit, but it's right behind me, and the seeds are sprouting, and I'm excited. If you ever start an indoor garden, it's really fun to see them grow, to see the seeds grow. I'm doing vegetables and you know things like mint and celery and things like that, and sage, so I can have it for cooking because I do enjoy cooking. Uh, Sometimes my cooking doesn't turn out the way I like it, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy baking too, and again, sometimes my baking doesn't turn out the way I like it, but it does. It's fun. But I'm excited about this garden. So they started sprouting and they started growing out of their little pods. So I transferred them into pots so they can have a little bit more room to grow. So I am excited. They're not, it takes time for vegetables to grow a little bit, but they are like mini vegetables. It's not like I want to grow a huge garden because I don't have room. I mean, I can do a big a big row of garden, a big vegetation thing outside of my place, but it would be too much, and I would be worried about bugs. I'd be worried about animals getting into it because we do have squirrels and we do have the birds. Where birds would come into it. So I do keep everything indoors, and it is growing nicely. And so I'm excited, and I highly recommend it. If you can afford it, I highly recommend it. And they're not that expensive. You can buy the germination machines online on Amazon, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. I mean, I bought a cheap one, so I just wanted to play with it, and so far it's coming out nicely. But you can see the light behind me. It has to be lit so they can, with LED lighting, so they can grow. But I'm excited about that. So I did want to kind of go over the whole exit ticket thing, just to expand on that. And this does come from my book called The Struggles of Minority English Learners, How Learner Feedback Can Improve English Skills. And I do think feedback is so important. Feedback on every level is so important. I give myself feedback every day. I mean, there's always something that I need to reflect on. But students can also give you feedback. Sometimes they can be very honest, and you don't want to hear the truth. And sometimes they could be very reflective and honest about what's going on in the classroom. So I wanted to go over page 26, where it says how English learners students feel about their courses. And you could do this with any kid, with any student, any course, honors, AP classes, regular classes, whatever class you want to do it with. And so I just want to kind of go over it, but I'm not going to spend time talking about research too much. But I do like to add a little bit of research into this. So as noted, the low reading engagement skills of English language learner students are a barrier to academic and vocational progress. Improving reading engagement in an academic setting can improve reading skills. This research explored perceptions of ELs regarding reading instructional strategies and support to determine what practices may encourage increased engagement. So it's engagement, right? So you always want to consider like how students are, how well they're engaged. Okay, so I also teach credit recovery, and the reason why students are in credit recovery is because they're not engaged, right? They didn't pass their regular classes, and it's not like we have a choice in what curriculum to give them. The district gives us the credit recovery curriculum, and they just sort of have to do it. So according to Raymond Suter, 2013, perceptions refer to what humans observe, hear, experience, or grasp. Braun, 2008, asserts perception as intrinsically active and exploratory, seeking out variations in the cosmic flow of information surrounding it. Perceptions are acquired when humans move through an environment and probe it with inquisitive minds. Raymond Suter acknowledges that perceptions differ across the individuals according to their individual ways of experiencing them. So I go over the interview questions that I gave students. So the interview questions developed in this study investigated how EL students respond to various types of strategies implemented by teachers. So this is a qualitative approach to sort of figuring out what students are feeling in your classrooms or across classrooms. So I did collect data from a very small sample, but it was still enough to get a good idea. And so what I kind of gathered from it is that EL students face multiple challenges as they transition into new learning environments in which teaching is presented in a language that they have not yet mastered. Reading engagement is foundational to academic achievement in nearly every content area, so it is critical that ELs develop reading skills as efficiently and effectively as possible. So, the students, their main perceptions were, the lot of changes that they were feeling that the district was going through and that they were experiencing was problematic for them. And so that was an interesting sort of take from them. So when you're developing these questions, it's important to sort of address, the elephant in the room. What is it about the curriculum that they're struggling with? Like I have one English learner right now, a multilingual learner, that is taking an online course, and he's using everything possible, the translation tools, the translation apps to help him navigate it. And it is taking him some time to get through it. And so, you have to give them that time. You have to give them that space. You have to give them that, whatever they need to sort of adjust. And I'm always checking in on him to see if he's okay. Does he need anything from me? Does he want me to, help him with some of the words, some of the language? And, he seems to be okay. He did take other classes and he was fine, so I trust he'll be okay, but I'm always checking in on him. And that's important too, checking in on your students. You may think they're okay, you may think they're, even though they might be making progress, you've always got to sort of check in on the students to make sure that they're doing okay and they understand the material that's being delivered to them. And so feedback, doing an exit survey, you can do, an opener. How are you doing? What's hard? What's coming across easy? What do you need more of from me? And they'll sort of tell you. And you make it anonymous because they're more honest that way. And sometimes, again, they're very honest. And sometimes you don't want to hear what they have to say because it might be a little bit too honest. But it's important to know like where they're standing. For the most part, my students are very positive and very constructive and very kind. But I'm also very hard on myself when I do hear something critical that I need to work on. And, you don't want to get that far into the weeds because, it can be like, or maybe they're just, they could be just having a bad day. And so I always try my best to, acknowledge everything and work on it. And so it's very helpful. And you could do these exit surveys, feedback surveys as an exit ticket. do it throughout the day, throughout the courses, throughout the lesson. And I know it's time consuming, but it could be a really quick thing. They could do it at any time they want. I put it in Google Classroom so they have it accessible to them, and so and they, you know, and they can do it at any time. And again, you know, it's feedback. It's to help you improve your practice, help you improve their learning. You know, that's what we're striving to do. Learning is constantly changing. It's not like this, you know, static thing where, you know, you do one thing one way. It's just not possible. You can't do one thing one way for all students. You've got to sort of be flexible and help them achieve their goals, through their lens, you know. And I know it's hard. It's like you have 100 students, 200 students a day that you work with. You know, there's a lot of different perspectives, and I'm not saying you do every little thing that they want. What I am saying is sort of take the general feedback, you know, something that you know you can do easily, and sort of incorporate it little by little, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you want. It's really up to you, but that feedback is important. So you can improve what you're doing on a daily basis. I do like to go to professional developments just to kind of listen in on what's going on out there, what's new out there, and I think that's important too. But then I meld it to my students, because you can go to a lot of PDs or conferences, and they're great, and I strongly encourage them. But the way they teach it is to adults, and you know, and the way they present it is for K through 12 or whatever grade level that they're presenting to. But you do want to sort of meld it to your students, to your population of kids, students, so that you know, they're understanding, you know, what's going on in the material that they're learning. And you know, I was watching a YouTube video of this family that was playing these games with their kids, and it you know, went viral. But they were like fun games, and they were interesting and engaging. And I thought, wow, you know, you could take some of those games and make them into vocabulary lessons or mini openers, or you can, you know, do it at the end of the lesson. One of them was, I think they were pulling out things out of a jar, I think they were pulling out, like, I think money or gifts. So they pulled out the gift, and that's the gift that they get if they answer the questions that are delivered by the person that's talking correctly. I thought, wow, that'd be interesting for a lesson, you know. Put a bunch of vocabulary words, right, in a jar, have students take it out, read the word, and try to define it on their own, right, like independently. And if they get the definition right, then they get a little prize, and, you know, a little treat, like a little piece of candy or something. But I thought that was an interesting. It was a interesting game, and you could change some of these, manipulate some of these to your students' needs. And there are a lot of fun things you can do with your students, you know, to sort of engage them in learning and have fun with it, and go from there. So that's all I really had today. I'm kind of rambling, but yeah, you know, I'll be busy for the next week or two. You know, we're on vacation the week after next, and so I'll be all, you know, busy with a bunch of stuff, plus Thanksgiving. I'm cooking this year, so I'm excited about that. Cooking, I don't cook big turkeys. I just cook, you know, little parts of turkeys. I mean, I'm generally vegan, but sometimes, you know, I take a break from the veganism, and I eat a little bit of meat sometimes, because I think you do need it. But you know, whatever your thing is, that's great. You know, I think you could make a great vegetarian, you know, Thanksgiving. But I'm doing a little bit of a dinner for myself, and I'm baking, and so those types of things are coming up. But anyway, Christmas is near, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. My birthday just passed, by the way, so yeah, exciting, my birthday. Every year I get closer and closer to where I don't want to be. But it is what it is in terms of, that's life. You got to grow up, you got to get, it's just life. And, I haven't really physically changed. I still feel like I can do everything, but I'm very careful too. And I'm very cautious, and I try to go to the doctors at least, once every year, just to get things checked and make sure everything is running properly, and all those good things. But sometimes, we do get scared of the doctors, but it is something we have to do just to stay healthy and stay operational. But other than that, I hope you guys have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. If I do this, another one before Thanksgiving, it will be a fun Thanksgiving one. And so, that's all I have to say. Have a wonderful week. Be safe. If you're driving, drive safely. Be careful. The holiday season is, when all the craziness sort of happens. It was raining here, so we had a lot of flooding. We had a lot of, we didn't have any stranded people, but there was a lot of flooding, and so it was kind of sometimes can be scary. But whatever you do this holiday season, please be safe. Please be careful. If you are gonna do something, do ride share. Make sure someone is there to take care of you, and have a wonderful, wonderful, safe holiday season. Have a great week. Thank you. I got one more subscriber. I'm so excited. So I prefer the authenticity of the subscriptions. I don't do anything extravagant. I prefer people who really want to hear what I have to say. I'm not here to build, and again, I'm doing this for fun. I'm not doing this for anything serious right now. I'm so busy. Eventually, I am going to create a website. I am going to start interviewing people that I know that are in the industry, and that'll be interesting. But other than that, it's really just relaxed. I'm not, I'm not really investing too much time in this, and when the time is right, I will. But right now, it's just fun, it's chill, and I'm having a good time. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate people who are subscribing. And that's it. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll talk to you later.